Good evening, everyone. In our industry, spotlight often shines on a lot of air talent, anchors, and sports announcers. But make no mistake, broadcasting is truly a team sport. And the engineer is often the MVP behind the scenes. They're the backbone of our operations, making sure that everything that needs to get on the air does so clearly, reliably, and most important, legally. And it's my honor tonight and my privilege to introduce our next inductee and one of Missouri's best broadcast engineers, Dave Obergoenner. We were incredibly fortunate at Zimmer Radio when Dave chose to leave his hometown of St. Louis as his role of Director of Engineering for Gannett Broadcasting and return to Cape Girardeau, where his career originally began back in 1970 when he was fresh out of high school at Normandy High School. As our Director of Engineering, it was a whirlwind. Dave designed and built dozens of studios, transmitter facilities, 2 brand new radio stations in Carbondale and Poplar Bluff. He did everything. I don't know how he did it all, but probably over 80 to 100 studio designs he did in about a 10-year period. The feat was just Herculean. But everything he did with great pride. And it was a pride for all our associates to work in things that Dave designed. But beyond Dave's role with Zimmer, his resume is equally impressive. As chief engineer at KWMU in St. Louis, he helped produce NPR broadcasts of the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra, fueled by his love of classical music. Also, during his about 20-year tenure at Gannett, he had helped pioneer the first portable satellite uplinks for radio, served on the development team for what we now know as HD radio. Today, Dave continues his legacy as a certified professional broadcast engineer through his consulting firm, Obergoenner Engineering, still supporting Zimmer, Southeast Missouri State University, and Bott Broadcasting. Let's hear more from Dave.
Dave Obergoenner.
Yes.
Everyone needs to know how to pronounce that name, Obergoenner.
You're good at it.
Well,
it's like you practiced or
the
something.
first time I met you, I was at Casey. This was 50 years ago.
Yes.
And you were just out of high school. You were at Normandy High, class of 1970. So right around there, I was working at Casey, and a mutual friend, Jim Singer, said, there's this guy who's only 17, but he's got his own radio station. Tell us that story.
Yes, I was involved in pirate radio. I admit it, I should probably be wearing an eye patch and a bandana or something like that. But there was a period of time where all we had was top 40 radio in St. Louis. And that wasn't exactly what a lot of myself and my contemporaries really wanted to listen to. We wanted to listen to longer cuts and album cuts and a whole side of an album maybe or something like that. And about that same time, I fell in with a guy named Jeremy Landsman. He started to teach me a lot about broadcast engineering, which was very helpful. I learned a lot from Jeremy Landsman. One of the things that he taught me about was how to skillfully, cheaply convert ham radio transmitters to being AM broadcast band transmitters, and how to do things in a way that you wouldn't get caught by the FCC, that you don't have a license, of course, or that's kind of against the law. So anyway, he taught me about how to do all that kind of stuff. At one point in St. Louis, there were 5 pirate radio stations operating in the St. Louis area, and I had built transmitters and control boards for as many as 4 of them.
Oh my. You've been on-air talent.
Yes.
You've been a morning show host, which is a whole different breed than on-air talent.
A little more talking.
Yeah. You've been a program director,
Yep.
a music director,
Yep.
a studio producer,
Yep.
chief engineer,
Yep.
director of engineering,
Yep.
corporate director of engineering,
Yeah.
vice president of engineering.
Yeah.
Why did you have such a problem keeping a job?
I never really asked for anything beyond the first job I got. And I didn't even really ask for that.
And that was KGMO.
KGMO and
your
Cape.
first-
I had just gotten out of high school and thought maybe it would be actually profitable for me to work for a station that had an FCC license, you know? And a couple of friends of mine were working at KGMO in Cape Girardeau, and they gave me a call and said, we're really short-handed and we really need your help bad. I mean, we could use your help with engineering stuff, but we need on-air help really, really bad. This guy named Rusty Sharp, most people would know him as Rush Limbaugh, he just quit and went to a bigger market, and we're scrambling. We need somebody to replace him on the air. And I'm like, okay, well, where should I send my audition tape? Who's the program director? What's his name? And I'll go ahead and send an audition tape. And they're like, no. We need you right now. And I'm like, okay. So I throw all my clothes in the car, drive down to Cape Girardeau.
At 17 years old.
And by 5 o'clock that afternoon, I'm on the air on KGMO.
How does someone go 50 years and not lose interest in what you're doing the way you have?
You know, there is still to this day, inside of me, a sense of amazement and wonder that when I turn the knob on the dashboard of my car and a voice starts coming out of it, that voice could be 10 miles away or 200 miles away, or I don't know exactly. That still amazes me. I decided at one point that it might be a little more stable to be an engineer than to be an on-air talent moving around the country all the time. I really didn't relish the thought of that very much. And engineers usually, in those days at least, made more money than the on-air talent.
Yeah, you will be talking to an audience of Missouri broadcasters. What is a message that you would want to leave them with?
If you do it right, you can still be successful. And right doesn't mean as cheap as possible. Right means live and local. Live and local. I've seen this happen as stations have fallen on hard times and fallen back into the hands of broadcasters, real broadcasters that know the right way to do things. They've taken those stations off the satellite, taken them live and local. Guess what? They got lots of listeners. Guess what else? They're making money. You can do it. You can. Just don't fall for the lie that you can cut your way down to somehow success and prosperity and profitability, because it's not going to work that way.
And I would be remiss in not mentioning Mo, your wife, who passed away recently. She also worked in radio with you. How was that?
We put KHIS radio on the air in 2007, I believe it was, down there. It's still going very well. I'm not really directly a part of that anymore, except that I try to keep them on the air when I need to. They need me to. But yeah, she was very devoted and committed to that. She was on the air doing nights. She was on the air from 6 to 10 at night. She was on until 2 weeks before she passed away. She was still on the air doing her air shift with stage 4 cancer, and she never said a word about it on the air, never said a word about it on Facebook, never let anybody know anything about it, but she was on the air and she had to be in that studio every night, even if I had to help her up and down the steps.
Well, David, live and local, Obergoenner, congratulations on behalf of the association.
Thank you. Right.
And hopefully another 73 years. If you can do it, it can be done.
Thank you, Ron. Appreciate it.
Please welcome to the stage Dave Obergoenner.
goodness. You know, when the phone rang and John Zimmer was calling me to say, hey, congratulations, you're going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, the Missouri Broadcasters Hall of Fame, I was like, are you kidding me? This has to be a joke. The guy has a great sense of humor, and I knew that. So I thought he was joking, but this is an incredibly unexpected thing. I'm so grateful and so humbled to have this honor. I'm very grateful that a whole bunch of my friends came and drove a long way, some of them over there, to be here tonight. My family is over there. I appreciate you folks all coming tonight. I appreciate this award. I wish that Mo could be with us tonight. My bride used to put up with the 2 a.m. phone calls. We're off the air all the time. And she always would try to make sure that I had a snack and something to drink as I was heading out the door at 2:05 usually. But anyway, I am so grateful for this business. I really am. These are some of the best people in the world. I mean, they really are. I've been doing this since high school and even before as a pirate. And this business has been so good to me, and it's been so good to me because it's so full of great people. Broadcasting really is a fabulous, fabulous place to spend your life. And I've appreciated all of you so much. I'll keep this short. Thank you all very, very much. I appreciate it.